button. Yes, there's a lot of things going on in boxing, and I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with who should I start with? Who should I start with? There's a lot of things over here I could talk about. Well, Josh Kelly. Let's start with Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly just defeated Bakram Zayas. Uh, he is a champion. He's not. He is the. I believe he's the WBC champion or the IBF. No, I think he's the IBF because Zayas was actually the IBF champion. So yes, so he is Josh Kelly is the IBF champion at 154, and right now the 144 weight class division is very intriguing, very exciting. We have a lot of matchups that can be made. So Fandora looked really impressive against Keith one-time Thurman. He, you could say he beat out of his prime Keith Thurman. I think that he's been out of the ring for a long time. He hasn't been consistent. He's been hurting his he's been getting injured a lot. So I feel like he was right for the taking. Based on when a fighter keeps getting hurt, he keeps getting injured, and he's not consistent. There's a lot of inconsistency. So if he would have fought a prime Keith one-time Thurman, it would have been a more competitive fight. But I think that he was out for the taking. He was right for the taking. So I think Fandora is getting better. He's using his boxing ability more, which is good. But I do believe he has holes in his game, and I believe that a fighter that can take advantage and exploit the fact that he brawls and he doesn't use his height a lot. He did box with Keith one-time Thurman, but the thing is that Keith one-time Thurman, the strategy that he had was to move in and out, and fighting somebody like that with long reach and tall guy, it's really hard because every time Keith one-time Thurman would fight him from the outside, he got hit with the long reach, and then when he fought inside, he was getting pummeled inside as well. So I just feel like the fight was a complicated fight for Keith one-time Thurman due to his inactivity. I know he was saying that he was saying Keith one-time Thurman that they stopped the fight too soon. I don't know, man. I just feel like a fighter knows best, but at the same time, sometimes the fighter's too brave for his own good, and he was getting pummeled a lot. So I feel like the referee did what he had to do to stop the fight, even though I felt at first initially that he should have gotten an opportunity to go a few more rounds because he was never stopped before, and he was a champion at one time. He was a two-time champion. So I just feel like, at first I felt like they should have given him a chance, but looking at the fight, really good, and the way he was getting hit a lot, I think it's just better for for his long for the long haul, the end result. You don't want him to get too many punches, and he takes too many combinations, and the fight prolongs a little longer. Then he could wind up being hurt in a serious way where it could do permanent damage. So I feel like they stopped the fight soon enough. They should have. They did the right thing by stopping it. Now I look at it and I think about it. But yeah, what do you guys think about Xander Zayas versus Jerome Bouts Ennis? What do you guys think? Who do you think is the more confident fighter of the two? What do you think of the actual offer, the counter offer that Jerome Bouts Ennis gave him, 55-45? He was basically saying if he was confident, if Xander Zayas was really confident, why wouldn't he take the 55-45 deal? And, Xander Zayas responded to him and told him, well, I'm a two-time champion. I'm giving you the opportunity to be a champion. Why do I have to give you a 50-50 deal or 55-45 deal if that's too generous when I'm actually being generous already by giving you the opportunity to fight for two belts, for two of my belts? So he was basically saying that the Virgil Ortiz fight was supposed to be 55-45, but Virgil Ortiz had no championship belt. So that's understandable. But when it comes to Xander Zayas, Xander Zayas has more to offer, and he didn't have to fight Jerome Bouts Ennis. He could have fought anybody else. He could have fought Josh Kelly and still made money. But I think that the reason why he was saying he wasn't going to take a 55-45 deal is because he has a lot to bring to the table. He's bringing two belts, and he's the WBA, WBO champion, Xander Zayas. So he's given him an opportunity to be a champion with two belts, unified belt. He's the only unified champion right now, Xander Zayas at 154. So I understand his stance, and he doesn't need to prove anything more other than stepping in the ring with bouts Ennis. And I believe that the zone that figured out that that would be the most money, the biggest, more attractive fight, since Virgil Ortiz couldn't fight bouts Ennis due to him being shelved because he had a civil lawsuit against Oscar De La Hoya. So the fight they were trying to make was Virgil Ortiz versus bouts Ennis initially, but they didn't do that because they don't want to wait around for Virgil Ortiz to be able to fight. You know, him being put on the shelf because of the civil lawsuit that he has against Oscar De La Hoya. So I don't blame him. So the most logical step and fight was to take Xander Zayas from Puerto Rico. Yeah. So that's a good opportunity. So I feel like that was the biggest fight to be made. And I believe Xander Zayas is very confident. He's very confident. And, you know, bouts Ennis is confident as well. But bouts Ennis was like trying to make a bet. Trying to make a bet with Xander Zayas, and Xander Zayas was like, "You're always trying to make a bet. I don't need to make a bet. You just gotta. I'm confident that I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna prove it on June 27th, and that's all I need to do." And then they were just going back and forth, and it was pretty intense. I love the back and forth between them, and it shows that there's a lot of high level confidence between the two. Let me read the comments. Koopas12, hello. How you doing, my brother? I'm doing good, my brother. How you doing? Thanks for tuning into the channel, my brother. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel where you hear the truth and nothing but the unadulterated truth. Koopas12, I'm new to this streaming stuff. It's all good. Whatever you want to learn, I'll do my best if I have time to teach you. Right now, I'm just, I'm doing boxing content right now. So, well, you can make a schedule, and then we could set something up where I can actually teach you how to do the streaming stuff. It's not too hard. I'm still learning myself, but thanks for tuning into the channel, my brother. I appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. I like boxing and most things like that. That's great, my brother. You're in the right channel. You're in the right channel with the greatest boxing content you could ever get from Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel, and you're not gonna be disappointed. My brother, when I have a chance, I'll show you. I'll go to the ins and outs of streaming with you when I have the time. But I appreciate you tuning in. Koopas12, thanks for tuning in. Everybody that tunes into my channel is my family. And don't be afraid to click the like button, subscribe, and comment. Give me your opinions on who do you think is the more confident fighter, Xander Zayas or bouts Ennis. They both have a lot of testosterone there in that press conference. And I believe that Xander Zayas is the most pure boxer, first pure boxer that bouts Ennis is ever going to face. And they're saying that he's physically bigger than bouts Ennis. If you look at the face-off, bouts Ennis looked a little smaller than Xander Zayas. So I don't know. Xander Zayas saying that it's easy for bouts Ennis to beat fighters that are coming up in weight, and it's easy to beat fighters like that don't have the same skill level that he has. But when you fight somebody that's on the same skill level like you and is naturally a 154 pounder and coming from 180 or 90, hypothetically, it's a different story. That's what Xander Zayas was alluding to. So, bouts Ennis, threw a little jab at him saying, "Oh, is that the reason why you chose the fight to be on June 6th?" He said, "No, I set this fight up to be June 27th. I was already planning to fight in Puerto Rico, so I made this fight in Brooklyn, New York, for you because in Puerto Rico that would be unfair, but to make it fair to you, not in those words, but he said to make it fair to you, I made the fight in Brooklyn, New York, for you can have your fans come too. But the Boricuas are going to be hardcore, but he has a lot of fans too, but most of his fans are in Philly. bouts Ennis, he's a great talent. Don't get it twisted. He's a great talent, and he was saying, bouts Ennis was saying that if you were confident, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was me and I was the two-time champion, I would have accepted a 55-45 deal to your advantage because I know I'm gonna beat you in the long run because there's levels to this game. And he said, no, you wouldn't. You would have looked out for your family. Xander Zayas told him, no, you wouldn't do that. You would have looked out for your family. And this has nothing to do with not having confidence. I could understand if I was Virgil Ortiz, then I would take a 55-45 deal because basically insinuating that Virgil Ortiz is not a champion. So, of course, he has to accept a deal like that. But when it comes to Xander Zayas, he's basically alluding to the fact that he has 2 belts and he sold a million in Puerto Rico, and he's going to have a lot of fans checking for him regardless of who he fights. And he has 2 belts, and he's the one that has the advantage, and he don't want to be too generous and give him a 55-45 deal in Jerome Boots Ennis' favor and an opportunity to fight for the WBA and the WBO. He felt like that was too generous, and I understand where Xander Zayas is coming from. Like Jerome Boots Ennis, him saying that I don't agree that Xander Zayas has to do that to prove that he's confident. He's already proven that he's confident by taking the fight and not fighting Josh Kelly, because he could have chose to fight Josh Kelly and make it an easier fight for him, the one that beat Bakram Mutazalev, that everybody's talking big about. So, he's the IBF champion now, Josh Kelly, but people want to see Xander Zayas fight for greatness, and he's willing to do that. And who do you think is the more confident fighter? I want people in the comments to let me know, who do you think is the more confident fighter out of the two? Based on what I saw, they're both confident. I can't knock either fighter. They're both confident. They both have skills. Xander Zayas is less experienced than Jerome Boots Ennis. Jerome Boots Ennis is a little more experienced. He hasn't fought anybody yet. Jerome Boots Ennis has not fought anybody yet. And he has yet to prove that he can beat a boxer with the skill and talent and pedigree of Xander Zayas. I feel that I don't know who's gonna win this fight. I mean, I'm not gonna knock Xander Zayas and say that it's too soon, because we don't know. His handlers and his promoter Bob Arum seems to believe that he's ready to take on Jerome Boots Ennis. He's boxing promoter Bob Arum, he's always top rank. Now it's not top rank. Now he's with DAZN. That's the platform now that he chose with this fight, with his first fight being on against Jerome Boots Ennis. So Bob Arum, top rank, he actually matches up his prospects carefully and leads them to the big fights, and until they're actually pruned and ready to be for the world level status. He's promoted Miguel Cotto. He's promoted Felix Verdejo. I don't want to mention Felix Verdejo, but he's promoted a lot of fighters, and he's moved them up the ranks. Gradually until they were ready for the big time. And I think that he's probably doing that with Xander Zayas, but it's more like Xander Zayas really wanting this fight and pushing his promoter to make this fight happen, because I feel like Bob Arum probably would have had more careful plans with fighters like Josh Kelly, and actually putting him in with Virgil Ortiz eventually after a couple of fights like Josh Kelly, maybe what's the other guy? The one that Virgil Ortiz knocked out. He probably would have put him with a fighter like him, like Lubin, like Erickson Lubin. He probably would have put him with in a fight like that. Maybe Josh Kelly, then Erickson Lubin, and then Virgil Ortiz, and then Jerome Boots Ennis, possibly. But I truly believe that it was a variation of the top rank now have a platform to put his fighters in, and now he chose DAZN, and DAZN was offering the biggest possible matchup with the most money with Jerome Boots Ennis versus Xander Zayas, and I believe that's what partially led to that decision. But I think Xander Zayas is the one that's really wanting this fight and pushing for this fight, and I gotta give it credit to Xander Zayas for his tremendous cojones and heart and confidence in himself to believe that he's ready for this level with Jerome Boots Ennis. And I'm not saying that he's not, but that's a good assessment of his confidence and his psyche in the boxing game. So I believe that based on what I saw in the press conference, I believe the more confident fighter, I don't want to say Xander Zayas, and I don't want to say Jerome Boots Ennis either. They both have confidence in different ways, but I just never seen. What up? What up? What up? I'm back. I'm back. Technical difficulties. I'm back. I'm back on the scene. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Based on what I saw between both fighters, who is the more confident fighter? I'm not gonna say who's the more confident fighter, but I did notice that Bouts Ennis has. This is the first time I heard him talk this much in a press conference. I usually never see him talk this much or amp himself up so much in a fight and try to prove that he's the real deal against another fighter. He just usually says, "Oh, you'll see on fight night." But now I think he sees something in Xander Zayas' confidence and boxing ability. There's something in the aura of Xander Zayas that's making him feel like he needs to talk more to back it up because he sees so much confidence in Xander Zayas, and he doesn't like the fact that Xander Zayas really believes in himself and truly has a chip on his shoulder because he believes in his ability and his boxing pedigree. And I just feel like that since he's bringing that kind of aura and energy, it's making Ennis talk more because he feels like, why is he so confident? Like, it kind of like bothers him that Xander Zayas is this confident. But the reason why Xander Zayas is this confident because he knows what he's made of. And I'm not saying that he's going to win. I'm not saying he's going to lose. But I know that he's no easy fight for nobody. He is a pure boxer. Like Xander Zayas is not Mexican. He's not a Virgil Ortiz. He's a Puerto Rican, and Puerto Ricans know how to box, punch, box. They have everything in their arsenal. They're not one-dimensional. Most Puerto Ricans. I'm not saying all. I'm saying most Puerto Ricans are very athletic, powerful, skillful, and have defense and have boxing pedigree. And that's a problem. And that's the thing that, when African Americans fight a Mexican, they know the Mexican's going to be one-dimensional most of the time. But when it comes to a Puerto Rican, deep down inside, a lot of the African Americans know that Puerto Ricans are very athletic most of the time, and we can punch, we can box, we have defense, we have boxing ability, we have it all. I'm not saying all the time, but I'm saying a lot of times Puerto Ricans have athleticism, power, boxing ability, chin, you name it. So that's what I'm saying, that this fight right here, Bouts Ennis has never faced anybody as confident and as skillful as Xander Zayas. Let's be real. Bouts Ennis has never faced anybody nearly as good as Xander Zayas. So this is a fight that's going to create fireworks. It's going to create a lot of excitement, boxing skill. It's going to be a chess match, and it's going to be a war, too, at the same time. That's what I think. So, what do you guys think? Xander Zayas says that he has a lot in his arsenal that he can take advantage with his speed and his boxing IQ, his power, his strength, and his length. And he's taken that into consideration to actually, break down Bouts Ennis' style. That's what he said. And Bouts Ennis, to double his confidence, he said, "Why didn't you take the 45-55 deal?" And we already saw the semantics that went through. And Xander Zayas said, I'm already being generous by giving you an opportunity to fight for two belts, my two belts, the WBO and the WBA. And I'm not Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is not a champion, so he has to accept 55-45 deal. But not Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas is a two-belt champion at 154 pounds. He is the only unified champion in the 154 weight class division. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. And if Bouts Ennis beats Xander Zayas, that's if he becomes a two-division world champion and a two-division unified world champion as well. So that's interesting. I don't know who's going to win this fight. I mean, I'm really nervous because Xander Zayas is fighting a hell of a skillful fighter in Bouts Ennis, and Bouts Ennis is fighting the first pure boxer, skillful boxer at the level that Xander Zayas is for the first time in his career. He hasn't fought anybody at that level. Let's be real, he hasn't. And they say that Xander Zayas is bigger. We don't know. We'll see if that makes a difference. I know Bouts Ennis was saying that he knocks out bigger fighters in sparring. And then Xander Zayas pointed to one of his sparring partners, supposedly. As his sparring partner, he said he knows. Xander Zayas was like, he knows what you deal with. And then Bouts Ennis was like, I never sparred with him. He's in my camp, but I never sparred with him. So anyway, we don't know. We don't know. It's all speculation. But at the same time, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to Tony Oso's channel, the handsome channel, the charismatic channel, the intelligent historian, boxing information, no holds barred, unadulterated truth channel. This is the channel that you need to subscribe to, and the channel that you need to be searching, because Tony Also Knows Boxing is doing the unforgivable, the unrestrainable. I'm not gonna restrain just to make everybody happy. I'm gonna say and remain and say the things that need to be said, the truth, and then what people are hungry to hear. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to the channel. Who do you think is the more confident fighter, Xander Zayas or Bouts Ennis? Give me your comments. Give me your feedback. Do not be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Hi, love. Do not be afraid. That's my wife right there. Do not be afraid to subscribe to the channel, because only the brave are going to subscribe to my channel. And there's only a few brave people left on this planet right now. This planet, the natural resources are being eradicated. It's just nothing but corporations. But now we have natural Tony Also. We have natural boxing, authentic information, and charismatic, heartfelt content that gives you the truth and doesn't hold back for nobody. This is Tony Also. This is natural resources right here. They're not going to gentrify me. They're not going to gentrify or corporatize me and take me out. All right? I'm always going to keep it real, and I'm not going to sell out for nobody, and I'm always going to say the truth for my fighters, for my boxing fans that want to hear the truth. But who do you think is the more confident fighter of the two, Xander Zayas or Bouts Ennis? Let me know in the comments. Come on, keep it real with me. Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in, Koopas 12. I appreciate you, my brother. Subscribe to that channel. I want to see my regulars as well come in. They usually come in with a fury. They come in here nonstop, relentless, and give me their comments. But if you're not here on the live, you can give me your comments when I get off the live. And check out the videos of the interviews that I did. I'm supposed to, I interviewed Joey Borrero, Felix Tito Trinidad's nephew, and he's going to get me Felix Tito Trinidad September or November. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to interview Felix Tito Trinidad. Tony Oso's making moves, making power moves. Yes. Subscribe to the channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Shout out to Joey Borrero. Shout out to Avisa El Coto, my brother. Wish him nothing but the best. I know he's going to come back stronger and better. Yes. Subscribe to the channel. So that's what I got as far as Xander Zayas and Bouts Ennis. I think both fighters have a lot of testosterone in that press conference. I think both of them are extremely confident. But I think that Bouts Ennis has never talked this much in a press conference. It's because it bothers him that Xander Zayas really believes in himself and is that confident, and he's bringing a tip on his shoulder like he's never been experienced before. Yeah, he's never fought a pure boxer like Xander Zayas before, Bouts Ennis. But Xander Zayas has never fought a boxer like Bouts Ennis, so it's very intriguing. But I believe that Bouts Ennis is a little flustered and bothered by the fact that Xander Zayas is so confident and really truly believes in himself. He really does. He's confident. He has some cojones. He's the one that chose to do this fight. He didn't have to take this fight. He could have took a Josh Kelly. He could have took Joe Smo. He could have took what's this guy's name? Erickson Lubin. They could have chose the easier route, but that's not what he's made of. He comes from a different cloth, just like Bouts Ennis. Xander Zayas comes from a different cloth. He's like, yo, I want to be great. I don't want to fight just anybody. And he has some freaking balls to do that, to fight Bouts Ennis, but he truly believes in himself. Let's not forget, Xander Zayas is a pure boxer. He's no fight for nobody. So for anybody to think that it's going to be a one-sided fight, they're crazy. They're insane. He's not going to knock out Xander Zayas. Trust me when I say that. Bouts Ennis has his hands full, and so does Xander Zayas. This fight is for all the marbles. To be the face of boxing, this is the fight. I just think that Xander Zayas knows something that a lot of people don't know. He sees a lot of holes in Bouts Ennis' game. They said, they said in an interview with Xander Zayas, hey, Xander Zayas, Bouts Ennis says that you get hit a lot. Oh, he gets hit a lot too. He says that you don't move your head. He said, he says, like, I'll try to move my head the same way he needs to move his head. That's funny. That's true. Like, they both gotten hit before, but Xander Zayas is a technical boxer, and so is Bouts Ennis, but they both gotten hit in the past. So it's not like he's flawless, Bouts Ennis, and Xander Zayas isn't flawless, but he said this, and then Joran Buzana said, "This is the boxing game. You get hit." And he said, "You proved my point." Xander Zayas said, "You proved my point." I'm like, the interviewer said, "Keep your head in a swivel," right? And then he just laughed. Xander Zayas. So I just believe that a lot of people that say that this is going to be a one-sided fight and that Xander Zayas is going to get knocked out, they're misconstruing Xander Zayas with a one-dimensional Mexican that doesn't have anything else in his arsenal but just going forward and throwing combinations. Like, I'll hit you 6 times, and you hit me 7 times, I'll hit you 10 times. You hit me 9 times, I'll hit you 12 times. Now, that's like the typical Mexican fights like that, but not all. And Xander Zayas does not fight like that. He's a Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans are another monster, another breed. They're built different. Just like Mexicans, they're built different in their own way. But Puerto Ricans are built different. Like, you think I only punch? I slug, I box too. I have boxing pedigree. I got defense. I got footwork. I got athleticism. Yo, we come in so many different forms. We are different. We're different. Like Puerto Ricans, like a lot of people be underestimating Puerto Ricans, but Puerto Ricans are nobody to play with. We come with our A game. When we have all the abilities like Xander Zayas does, it's no easy fight for nobody. Xander Zayas is a pure boxer. He's not an easy fight for nobody. This is not a one-dimensional fighter. This is not a one-sided fight. Xander Zayas is gonna give Joran Ennis some trouble, and so is Joran Ennis. Joran Ennis is gonna give Xander Zayas trouble, but the thing is, we don't know who's gonna have the upper hand based on the fact that Xander Zayas is younger, he's taller, he weighs more, he's a natural 154 pounder, and Joran Ennis might not be a natural 154 pounder, but maybe his body needed to move to 154, so we don't really know. But he's not a flawless fighter. He has a great defense, great power, more power than Xander, but power doesn't win fights. Xander Zayas also has the boxing pedigree, the boxing skill. Like, he said that he's going to see shadows, that he's going to take his heart out. That's what Xander Zayas said to Joran Ennis. And then Joran Ennis said, keep that same energy. Like, the confidence is crazy on both sides. But the thing is that I never seen Joran Ennis talk this much. He's always been like, wait to fight night. But the way he's responded to Xander Zayas, it's like he don't like the fact that Xander Zayas has that much confidence and that much belief in himself. And it's kind of bothering him that he's that confident. How dare you have that much confidence against me? That he's a fighter. And it's like Xander Zayas said, you a fighter. You're supposed to say that. Man, I love that confidence, man. That confidence you could tell when somebody's really confident. I'm from, and I know if you're confident, you're not. You could be talking the talk, but I could tell if you're walking the walk. Just by the energy, the frequency right behind what you're saying. I know Xander Zayas is really confident, and I know that Joran Ennis is really confident. I can see it in both of them. But Joran Ennis might be underestimating Xander Zayas. Because he's saying, "Oh, you got a big head. Eh? It's not gonna be hard for me to." He's making like those little what do you say that? Indirect insinuations, like Mexicans. They usually say that to Mexicans. You got a big head. It's not hard for me to find your head. When you talking about Puerto Rican, it's different. We move. We know how to move our legs. We know how to time. We know how to use boxing ability and punching power and speed and timing and defense. We have it all. So. You say it's not hard to find Xander Zayas' head, but Joran Ennis' head is not small. He's pretty big too. But it's not about whose head is big and whose head is small. It's about how you box and what strategy you have, your mentality in the ring, your boxing ability. Yes, Xander Zayas doesn't swivel his head too much, but he moves his feet very well, and he throws the jab and he keeps distance. He fights at a good distance when he needs to. And he knows how to time you. But he has to be careful with Joran Ennis on the inside, because Joran Ennis has some power and some serious power. But I don't think Xander Zayas has a weak chin. He doesn't. And he's not a weak-minded person. Like you don't necessarily have to be weak-minded to go down, but a lot of times the way you take a punch, it all depends on your mentality, your psychology. If you don't have the psychology behind the boxing pedigree that you have, and somebody hits you in your chin, you'll be like, oh, that shit hurt, damn. You're going to focus more on the pain.
comments?
No. Yo, you blowing up my spot? Anyway, so no, I don't need no. Oh yeah, I read the comments. Yeah, I read the comments. I read the comments. I read the comments. I read the comments. There's only one person that tuned in today, which is good. I appreciate you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. That doesn't make it any less significant that you tuned into my channel. You're very significant. And subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Look at my shirt, man. My Rivera. Anyway, what do you guys think? Who do you think is the more confident fighter based on the press conference? And who do you think has the intangibles and the necessary tools to win? And who do you think is going to have the upper hand in the fight? I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I'm not going to predict the winner. But all I'm saying, do not sleep on Xander Zayas. He has boxing ability. He's a pure boxer. He is not no one-trick pony. He's Puerto Rican. I'm not saying that because he's Puerto Rican, but Puerto Ricans are very multi-dimensional. We've always been like that. It's just the way we're born. We come from a different cloth. We come from a different cloth. Mexicans, on the other hand, they have that chin and they keep coming and coming, but they're the type of fighters that be like, if you hit me 7 times, I'll hit you 15 times. If you hit me 15 times, I'll hit you 25 times. That's not good for the brain. Not good for the brain. You could do that for a little while. Tito Trinidad was like, yeah, okay, I'll fight you. You think you hard? You think you hardcore? Boom. He did that with Campas. He did that with Vargas. But he boxes too. A lot of people didn't give credit to Trinidad for boxing. He boxed too. He was just a come forward boxer, brawler. And he could move back a little, but he wasn't no Pernell Whitaker, but he was able to box. That's why De La Hoya couldn't really dominate him. That's why he beat De La Hoya. Because De La Hoya couldn't really like De La Hoya tried to use boxing ability against Trinidad, but then Trinidad still was able to tag him and be the effective aggressor because De La Hoya did more running than boxing. So you can't win a fight by running a track meet. You can't do that. You gotta, if you're gonna box, if you're gonna move away, don't run away, box away. You know, De La Hoya was scared shitless of his life when he fought Tito Trinidad. But anyway, that's another story. But right now, we're talking about Xander Zayas versus bouts Ennis. I think it's a really good fight, competitive fight. I look forward to it on June 27th. And then we also have May 1st, I think David Benavidez is fighting Zurdo Ramirez. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be to unify the belts. And I think that Zurdo Ramirez is going to get beat down by David Benavidez. But it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Peace. I'll be back with some more. Peace. Do not be afraid to subscribe. Tony also knows boxing. I thought I ended the channel. What happened? Let me go back. Okay, Tony also knows boxing.